All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning, I am Saira Mujtaba and with me is Vaibhav Jyotsna Srivastav. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate Bengaluru Tech Summit today. India-Luxembourg Virtual Summit to be chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his counterpart this evening. 14,34,000 loans sanctioned under Pradhan Mantri Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi or PM Swanidhi scheme. Indianness is our legacy and strengthening it is our duty, says President at Jawaharlal Nehru University Convocation. Covid19 recovery rate reaches 93.52%. And World Toilet Day being observed today. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the Bengaluru Tech Summit 2020 through video conferencing today. The theme of the summit is Next is Now. The 3-day summit will deliberate on key challenges emerging in the post-pandemic world. It will focus on the impact of prominent technologies and innovations in the domains of information technology and electronics and biotechnology. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison, Vice President of the Swiss Confederation Guy Parmelin, and many other prominent international figures will participate. More from our correspondent.
The summit to be held for 3 days starting today will see the participation of 4,000 delegates and 270 speakers will take part in 75 panel discussions. 25 tech nations are participating in the summit along with thought leaders, industry captains, technocrats, researchers, innovators, investors, policymakers and educators. During the event, 12 Memorandum of Understanding will be signed with foreign countries paving the way for investments in Karnataka. Over 200 Indian companies are setting up virtual exhibition. Some 50 Indian startups will showcase their technology to European companies. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Luxembourg counterpart Xavier Bettel will hold a virtual summit today. This will be the first stand-alone summit between India and Luxembourg in the past 2 decades. The leaders will discuss the entire spectrum of bilateral relationship, including strengthening of India-Luxembourg cooperation in the post-COVID world. They will also exchange views on international and global issues of mutual interest. India and Luxembourg have continued to maintain high-level exchanges in the recent past. The 2 prime ministers have met previously on 3 occasions.
The centre has said that over 27,33,000 applications have been received under the Pradhan Mantri Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi, that is PM Swanidhi scheme. Out of the total applications received, over 14,34,000 have been sanctioned and about 7.88 lakh loans disbursed. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs in a statement said that vendors who had left for their native places due to the COVID-19 lockdown are also eligible for the loan. Banks are reaching the doorsteps of people to provide loans for helping them start their ventures. The ministry said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has appreciated the hard work done by the bank staff, saying that there was a time when street vendors did not go inside the bank, but today the bank is going to their home. In order to ensure fast implementation of the scheme with transparency, accountability and consistency, a digital platform with web portal and mobile app have been developed to administer the scheme with end-to-end solutions. President Rajnath has said that premier universities like Jawaharlal Nehru University should be at the forefront to develop specific hand-holding mechanisms and promote innovation among student communities. Addressing the 4th annual convocation of Jawaharlal Nehru University, JNU, through a video message, Mr. Kovind said students coming from all parts of India and from all strata of society study in JNU in an atmosphere of equal opportunity for excellence. The President said JNU reflects all shades of Indian culture and the names of buildings, hotels, hostels, roads and facilities on the campus are drawn from the Indian heritage. It represents a cultural and geographical picture of India at its best. Mr. Kovind said that this Indianness is JNU's legacy and it should be strengthened.
This Indianness is your legacy and strengthening it is your duty. Related to this duty of the educated is a statement of Mahatma Gandhi, which I quote, "All education in a country has got to be demonstrably in promotion of the progress of the country in which it is given," unquote. I urge upon all of you to always remember the debt we owe to our society and the nation. It is your sacred duty to repay this debt by reaching out to the people who are left behind in the country's journey for growth and development.
Referring to the glorious past of teaching and research in ancient India, the President said that in dealing with today's challenges, we can draw inspiration from universities in Takshila, Nalanda, Vikramshila and Vallabhi, which had set high standards of teaching and research. He said scholars and students from all across the world came to those centers to attain specialized knowledge.
Today's Indian scholars should try to create such an original body of knowledge which is utilized for dealing with contemporary global challenges. JNU is among those select institutions of higher learning which can reach globally comparable excellence. All the students who have received their doctorate today must remember that scholars from JNU command very high regard in the global academic arena.
Speaking on the occasion, Education Minister Dr. Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank said the role of a university is very important in the implementation of the new education policy.
नई शिक्षा नीति के क्रियान्वयन में जेएनयू जैसे विश्वविद्यालय की भूमिका बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है। मुझे खुशी है कि विश्वविद्यालय अनुसंधान की संस्कृति को बढ़ावा देते हुए एनआईआरएफ रैंकिंग में पिछले 5 वर्षों से काफी अच्छा प्रदर्शन करती आ रही है और इस वर्ष इस विश्वविद्यालय ने एनआईआरएफ रैंकिंग में दूसरा स्थान प्राप्त कर गौरव हासिल किया है। साथ ही विश्वविद्यालय ने 455 करोड़ के हिफा फंड के साथ रिसर्च सुविधाओं को बहुत तेजी से वृद्धि करने का प्रयास किया है।
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has said that Constitution binds the country in one thread and it is our tradition and cultural heritage. He said the Constitution is of the people, by the people and for the people of India. Launching the Constitution Day Youth Club activities yesterday, the Defence Minister said the country is going to celebrate the 6th Constitution Day next week. He said the day expresses our faith and allegiance to the Constitution.
एक सप्ताह बाद हमारा देश 6वां संविधान दिवस मनाने जा रहा है और 2014 में देश सेवा का अवसर मिलने के साथ ही सरकार ने जो प्रमुख प्रयास किए थे संविधान दिवस का मनाया जाना भी उनमें से एक है। 2009 में ही हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री ने जब वह गुजरात के मुख्यमंत्री थे संविधान दिवस मनाना प्रारंभ कर दिया था और 2015 में डॉक्टर भीमराव अंबेडकर जी की 125वीं जयंती पर उन्होंने 26 नवंबर को एक राष्ट्रीय पर्व का रूप दिया।
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate the Bangalore Tech Summit today. India-Luxembourg virtual summit to be chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his counterpart this evening. 14,34,000 loans sanctioned under Pradhan Mantri Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi PM Swanidhi scheme. Indianness is our legacy and strengthening it is our duty, says the President at Jawaharlal Nehru University convocation. Covid-19 recovery rate reaches 93.52% and World Toilet Day being observed today. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
The central government is taking concrete steps to contain the spread of rising COVID-19 cases in Delhi on the direction of Home Minister Amit Shah. The Ministry of Home Affairs has said that 10 multidisciplinary teams have started visiting the hospitals in the national capital for assessing bed utilization and testing capacities. It also informed that planning for house-to-house survey in Delhi in the advanced stage and survey is expected to begin by this weekend and is projected to be completed by the 25th of this month. It said the Indian Council of Medical Research ICMR and Delhi government are working together to enhance RT-PCR testing capacity to 60,000 tests by the end of this month. The ministry informed that testing capacity has been already enhanced by 10,000 tests per day. 5 RT-PCR labs, including at AIIMS in Delhi, have already started functioning round the clock. It said ICMR will help Delhi government in deploying 10 mobile testing labs for COVID-19 with a total capacity of 20,000 tests in a phased manner. The country's COVID-19 recovery rate has improved to around 93.52%. In the last 24 hours, more than 44,000 people recovered from COVID-19. The Health Ministry said the total number of recoveries has gone up to over 83,35,000. The actual caseload currently comprises only 5.01% of the total positive cases. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is around 4,46,000. In the last 24 hours, 38,617 new cases were reported, taking the total number of positive cases in the country to over 89 lakh. Currently, India's case fatality rate is at 1.47%, which is one of the lowest globally.
Talking to All India Radio's senior medical expert Dr. Madhur Yadav has said, as most of the activities are being allowed under the unlockdown, few more coronavirus cases are being reported from some areas. He said COVID-19 testing is being carried out at a large scale. Dr. Yadav also said there is no point of fear, as the government is fully prepared to tackle the situation.
हम लोगों ने कोविड-19 की जो रेस्ट्रिक्शन थी उसके पालन में थोड़ी ढिलाई बरत दी। अनलॉकडाउन काफी कुछ खुल गया है, एक स्कूल छोड़ के बाकी सब शुरू हो गया है, तो धीरे धीरे ये केसेस बढ़ते जा रहे हैं। प्लस टेस्टिंग भी हमारी उसी तरीके से बढ़ रही है, चाहे वो रैपिड एंटीजन टेस्ट हो या वो RT-PCR हो। तो इसकी वजह से लगता ही है कि बहुत ज्यादा केसेस आ गए। लेकिन मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा कि यदि हम अभी भी सुधर जाते हैं और अपने आप को सहमित कर लेते हैं तो हम इससे बच सकते हैं। दूसरी मैं एक बात कहना चाहूंगा कि डरने वाली कोई बात नहीं है। सरकार ने बेड का अरेंजमेंट अच्छा खासा कर लिया है। आर्मी हॉस्पिटल को भी रोप इन कर लिया है। MCD के भी जो हॉस्पिटल्स हैं, खासतौर से जो हिंदुरा हॉस्पिटल, उसके भी बेड भी ले लिए हैं।
In Madhya Pradesh, more than 1,74,000 COVID-19 patients have recovered so far. At present, there are 9,338 active cases in the state. The state government has denied rumours about the lockdown in the state and said that the situation is completely under control. More from our correspondent.
State Home Minister Narottam Mishra has clarified that there is no such situation in Madhya Pradesh to impose lockdown, nor any proposal in this regard is under consideration.
इस तरह का कोई भी प्रस्ताव अभी विचाराधीन नहीं है, न ही इस तरह की अभी कोई कार्य योजना है, न ही मध्य प्रदेश में ऐसी कोई भयावह स्थिति है।
Meanwhile, the number of COVID-19 cases in the state climbed up to more than 1,86,000 after 1,209 new cases reported in the past 24 hours. With 13 patients succumbing to the infection, the death toll rose to 3,115. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
In Orissa, the recovery rate of COVID-19 patients has reached around 97%. The recovery of 1,303 patients yesterday has taken the total tally to 3,01,777. In the last 24 hours, 868 new cases were detected, taking the cumulative COVID-19 case count to 3,10,920. A report from our correspondent.
The rise in COVID-19 recovery in the state has caused a corresponding fall in the number of active cases, which is now down at around 8,000 plus infection. In addition, the Delhi recovery continues to charge ahead of Delhi discovery of new infection on a sustained basis. Meanwhile, the state government has decided to prioritize the vaccination of health workers, pregnant women and people above 60 years of age as and when a vaccine against the virus is available. Girish Chandra Das, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
In Tamil Nadu, the active COVID-19 caseload has dipped further to 14,470. However, the number of new infections yesterday has marginally gone up to 1,741, including 479 in Chennai. The State Health Minister, Dr. C. Vijaya Bhaskar, has said the state has an impressive track record in treating COVID-19 patients with comorbidities. A report from our correspondent.
The Tamil Nadu State Health Department says 90% of the diabetic patients admitted in the government-run Stanley Medical College Hospital in Chennai for COVID-19 treatment have recovered from the viral disease thanks to the effective medical interventions. However, the State Health Minister Dr. C. Vijayabhaskar said it is a matter of concern that 9.8% of the state's population is diabetic. In a function at the more than 200-year-old medical institution yesterday, he quoted a study results saying about half of the elderly population in the state are diabetic, asking the public to be more cautious about the lifestyle diseases. He claimed that the COVID-19 positivity rate in the state has dropped to 2.8 for every 100 tests. Jai Singh, AR News, Chennai.
In Karnataka, 1,791 new COVID-19 positive cases were reported yesterday, taking the tally to 8,65,931. 1,947 people were cured from the disease and were discharged from various hospitals in the state. So far, 8,29,188 people were cured from the disease. At present, 25,146 active patients are taking treatment in various hospitals in the state, and among them, 636 are in ICU. 21 COVID deaths were reported yesterday, taking the total number of fatalities to 11,578. According to the Health and Family Welfare Report, the state conducted 97,042 COVID tests yesterday.
Telangana reported 1,058 fresh COVID cases during the past 24 hours. With this, the total COVID cases reported in the state has gone up to 2,60,834. The state conducted over 38,000 tests yesterday. The recovery rate slightly improved to 94.59%, with 1,440 more people recovering yesterday. This took the number of recovered people so far in the state to 2,46,733. Meanwhile, the daily bulletin issued by the State Medical and Health Department this morning stated that total deaths reported at 1,419 as four more people succumbed to COVID and comorbidities during the past 24 hours. Currently, the state has over 12,000 active cases, out of which over 10,000 are in home isolation. Meanwhile, 168 new COVID-19 cases were reported in Hyderabad during the past 24 hours, while Medchal, Malkajgiri, Rangareddy, Karimnagar and Bhadradri Kothagidem districts are among those which reported considerably high number of new COVID cases during the same time. Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan has stressed on the need to create a mass movement for elimination of TB with strategized advocacy, thought leadership, disruptive social entrepreneurship, powerful societal and political commitment. He was addressing the 33rd Stop TB Partnership Board meet in New Delhi through video conference yesterday. Dr. Harshvardhan highlighted India's TB Harega, Desh Jeetega campaign that targets to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal target related to TB by 2025, 5 years ahead of the global target of 2030. He said India had nearly trebled efforts on increasing TB notifications and had managed to close the gap in missing million TB cases. Taking stock of the setback caused by COVID-19, he noted that during the period from January to October 2020, only 14.5 lakh TB cases have been notified, which is 29% lower than the same period in 2019, with the decline being over 35 to 40% in some states like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Manipur and Goa.
Global drug makers Pfizer and BioNTech have said that their COVID-19 vaccine was found 95% effective in the final analysis of the Phase 3 trial, including in people aged over 65 years. It paves the way for the companies to apply for emergency authorization from US regulators within days. American pharmaceutical giant Pfizer and its German partner BioNTech said they have concluded Phase 3 study of their mRNA-based COVID-19 vaccine candidate BNT162b2, meeting all primary efficacy endpoints. Based on current projections, the companies expect to produce globally up to 50 million vaccine doses in 2020 and up to 1.3 billion doses by the end of 2021.
On the second day of Chhath Puja, the ritual of Kharna will be performed this evening. Devotees will offer prayers to the sun god, and during the puja, kheer, puri and fruits will be offered to the deity. The Chhathvartis take the Kharna Prasad, the offering, and after that their 36-hour-long fast begins, which will be broken on Saturday morning after paying the obligation or Arghya to the rising sun. During the festival, religious ceremonies and rituals are performed at the banks of rivers, ponds and other water bodies. This year, the festival is being observed amid Covid-19 pandemic. Devotees have been advised to follow protocols regarding Covid-19 pandemic, and special Chhath festival guidelines have been issued. The state governments have appealed to people to observe the festival at their homes, as mass gathering may aggravate the pandemic. In Bihar, due to Covid-19 pandemic, several precautionary measures have been suggested to festivities by the state government. We have a report.
During the Chhath festival, huge mass gatherings take place on the Chhath Ghats across the state to check the spread of Covid-19 pandemic. The state government has appealed to devotees to perform puja in their home, taking holy bath during the puja on the Chhath Ghats of rivers, ponds and other water bodies are banned. Chhath Mela, Jagran and cultural programs will not take place on the Ghat. This time, festival will be observed with simplicity and adopting Covid-19 protocols at famous sun temples of Aurangabad, Nalanda, Patna and other places. Dharmendra Kumar Rai, AIR News, Patna.
In Uttar Pradesh, the government has issued orders for the strict compliance with COVID protocols during celebration of Chhath festival at the banks of rivers and ponds. The administration is making arrangements for providing clean ghats and other facilities for the devotees. More from our correspondent.
A letter issued from the Additional Chief Secretary Home Avnish Avasthi to the police and district administration officials stated that in view of the Chhath festival, women should be encouraged to celebrate the festival within their houses. According to the Home Department's letter, adequate efforts should be made by the district administration and urban local bodies to install toilets at the banks of the river and water bodies. Arrangement for ambulance and drinking water should be made and focus must be on cleanliness. No one will be allowed to reach at ghats without wearing masks and maintaining 2 gaj ki duri will be compulsory. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
In Chhattisgarh, Chhath festival is being celebrated with reverence and gaiety. The state government has issued special guidelines regarding the Chhath Puja in view of the pandemic situation. A report from our correspondent.
In Chhattisgarh, the state government has issued fresh guidelines and granted conditional permission for Chhath festival at the ghats of river and ponds. Only worshippers will be allowed at the ghats during Chhath Puja. It will be mandatory to maintain social distancing and to wear mask. No procession, rally or cultural program will be allowed to be organized during the festival. Firecrackers can be used only from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Chhath Puja. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
The registration of delegates for the 51st edition of the International Film Festival of India, or IFFI, has begun from the 17th of this month under the paid categories. This edition of IFFI is scheduled in January 2021. The registration fee for the delegate cine enthusiast and delegate professional will be 1,000 rupees each plus taxes. The registration can be done at iffigoa.org. The Information and Broadcasting Ministry in a statement said that registration will be on first-come, first-served basis to the limited number of delegates due to COVID-19 pandemic. Today is World Toilet Day. This day is being observed to create awareness about sanitation and encourage people to use toilets. The Department of Drinking Water and Sanitation of the Ministry of Jal Shakti will celebrate World Toilet Day under Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin for promoting awareness on access to safe sanitation. On this occasion, Jal Shakti Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat will felicitate top districts and states with Swachhta Puraskar. More from our correspondent.
The theme of this year World Toilet Day is Sustainable Sanitation and Climate Change. Severe effects of climate change like floods, drought and rising sea levels are threatening sanitation systems and increasing health risks. Safe and hygienic toilets form the strongest defense mechanism against COVID-19 and other diseases. In the last few years, India has taken remarkable steps to inculcate the practice of safe and hygienic sanitation behavior under the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. This drive not only changed the age-old habits of millions of people, but also increased their productivity while protecting them from diseases. It also paved way for construction of over 11 crore household toilets and conversion of more than 6 lakh villages into open defecation free. Bhupendra Singh, AIR News, Delhi.
Saudi Arabia and Iraq have reopened their border crossing for trade at Jadida Arar after nearly 30 years. The Saudi press agency informed that Prince Faisal bin Khalid bin Sultan, the Amir of the Northern Borders region, yesterday opened the border crossing in a ceremony held in the presence of Iraq's Minister of Interior, Osman al-Ghanimi. The two countries signed an agreement to reopen the border crossing in accordance with the decision of the fourth session of the Saudi-Iraqi Coordination Council held on November the 10th. During the virtual session of the council meeting, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and Iraqi Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kazimi approved the historic decision. Arar had remained closed since 1990 after the two countries severed ties following former Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein's invasion of Kuwait. Ties remained rocky since the 1990s and did not improve after Saddam's toppling in the 2003 US-led invasion. U.S. Federal Aviation Administration has cleared Boeing 737 MAX for flight after nearly 2 years the planes were grounded following crashes. Safety agency FAA announced today that it is giving permission after a comprehensive and methodical 20-month review process. Regulators around the globe grounded the MAX in March 2019 after the crash of an Ethiopian Airlines jet. That happened less than 5 months after another MAX flown by Indonesia's Lion Air plunged into the Java Sea. A total of 346 passengers and crew members on both planes were killed. However, the planes won't return to the skies for a while. The FAA says it must approve pilot training changes for each U.S. airline, and airlines must perform required maintenance on the planes.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast for today. The national capital will witness fog or mist in the morning and mainly a clear sky later during the day. The minimum temperature was 10 degrees Celsius and maximum will be around 25 degrees Celsius. In Mumbai, sky will be partly cloudy. The temperature will hover between 25 and 35 degrees Celsius. Chennai will have a generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. Temperature will vary between 24 and 31 degrees Celsius. On to the north in Srinagar, generally cloudy sky with light rain is expected today. Minimum temperature was 1 degree Celsius while maximum will be around 15 degrees Celsius. In Jammu, the lower level of temperature was 11 degrees Celsius while upper would be around 23 degrees Celsius. In Leh, generally cloudy sky with light rain may occur today. The temperature will hover between -9 degrees Celsius and 9 degrees Celsius. Gilgit will also experience generally cloudy sky with light rain. The temperature will hover between 0 and 10 degrees Celsius, while in Muzaffarabad, the temperature will hover between 4 and 18 degrees Celsius.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Most papers have their top headline on the current COVID scenario in the country. Hindustan Times says wedding curbs back as cases hit 5 lakh. The Times of India reports record 131 deaths in the city on day that total cases cross 5 lakh. While the Hindu writes Kejriwal seeks all-party meet on COVID. No major change in Delhi's air this week, but mercury to drop, reports The Pioneer. The Pioneer writes about idols that were stolen 20 years ago have finally come back to Tamil Nadu. Stolen Ram, Lakshman and Sita idols back from the UK. And finally, city temperature may drop below 10 degrees Celsius in the next 2 days, informs the Times of India.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate the Bengaluru Tech Summit today. India-Luxembourg Virtual Summit to be chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his counterpart this evening. 14,34,000 loans sanctioned under Pradhan Mantri Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi or PM Swanidhi scheme. Indianness is our legacy and strengthening it is our duty, says President at Jawaharlal Nehru University Convocation. COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 93.52% and World Toilet Day being observed today. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a great day.